When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. My eyes, they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
Damn right we will. Pristine Christmas and Yule Eve to you. Good going free special today. First hour and a half is going to be family friendly. We'll see how long kids may stick around with their parents. There'll be jokes for children and for adults, maybe a little bit later, and some heartfelt true stories, some music, some poetry, some tracking of Santa on the radar, though we're going to be careful with that. I might give mostly just updates because it was really eating up bandwidth from NORAD. Maybe some singing, who knows? We have some featured stories. Homeward bound, dog found 1,600 miles away from home and will be returned in time for Christmas. Despite brain cancer diagnosis, Christmas still on for Sultan Santa. We'll talk about that. And man has spelled out, hi, Kevin, in Christmas lights for 20 years to honor his neighbor. The Go Free lesson of the day, we're going to talk about the kind of issues you may face while talking with friends or family over the course of tomorrow and the rest of this good Yule, and how you might be able to handle those in service to white well-being. Of course, your comments, calls, and questions. And then there's this. When a father asked his little boy what he wanted for Christmas, the boy replied, "I want a baby sister." As it turned out, the wife was pregnant and delivered on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, she brought home a brand new baby sister for their son. The next year, when the father asked his little boy what he wanted for Christmas, the little boy said, "Dad, if it wouldn't be too much trouble and too uncomfortable for mommy, I want a pony." Hey, good. I hope the microphone is working. On my end, everything is going crazy with error, software error. What's it like on your end? Are you getting the video feed fine? Are you getting the audio fine? A good Saturday evening, Sunday morning for all of you. Merry Promethean Christmas, good Promethean Yule to every single one of you. God bless you. As you can see, we're in an interesting little setup, at least here for the beginning of our gathering today. And yeah, let me know. Let me know if the audio is okay. Mordor on the Potomac just after 5 in the once great state of Virginia, 7 in Sydney, 10 in London, midnight in Moscow. If you would like to financially gift over the course of this Christmas Eve gathering, and thank you all for being here today, you can do so on Entropy, which is up and running, and you can do so on Odyssey, which is up and running, and you can do so on Cash App, which is up and running, and now you can even do so on D Live again. You can financially gift with their tokens, and I welcome that most heartily. And so just checking right here, making sure that's fine. I don't know. We might have to do some serious tech work to make sure that this is working okay. Audio and video are good on y'all's end, says the great Franklin. A good Christmas Eve to you and to everybody who has shown up here today. You may also financially gift with a cryptocurrency. You can do that at Cash App. You can also do that over at nowhyguilt.org. nowhyguilt.org. Click on the financial gift tab and you'll see the tab there and all of the wallets that we have that you can use while we are together today. What are you all doing? What's your Christmas Eve like? We're going to be asking some questions over the course, get people participating. And I want to say hello to anybody who has their little ones present. A Merry Christmas Eve and good Yule to you. Hello, hello. I'm Jason, and I am an extraordinary person. That's why your parents are watching me, which means that they are awesome. I'm going to be getting into these stories here in just a moment. Why don't we start with the story about the puppy that is going to be finding his way home, the German Shepherd. All right, good deal. I'm glad everything is working all right on y'all's end, because it is nothing but crazy glitches on this end. I was supposed to, I did have up right around in this area here, the NORAD map, but it was consuming a crazy amount of bandwidth. And also, I guess a lot of maybe bandwidth being used in the area, everybody's home. And so maybe that's posing an issue as well. So, do you all have any traditions? I'll start off by asking that. Do you all have any traditions with your family, or did you have any traditions with your family when you were a child that you remember, you loved, you really cherished, things you do today on Christmas Eve that you cherish? Some people open their gifts on Christmas Eve. Are you one of those people? Are you? Do you hold off until the next morning? Has Santa visited you yet? I'll tell all the little ones, because I am able to have the NORAD up. We're tracking Santa. And at last glance, he was somewhere over Italy right now. So he's over Italy. He's delivering the toys to all the good little children there, the coal to the bad kids, I guess. But maybe we all want coal, given the heating prices these days. So be very naughty, as I shared in one of my tweets. Brandon is here. Nick, yeah. Victorian Time Traveler. Promethean Promulgation. Great Kate is with us. JK160 is here. Kingdom of Vinland. Apparently, the United States Air Force and Canada escort Santa through their airspace each year. Did you know that, kids? That we send up jets to escort dear Saint Nick as he travels across the North America, both Canada and the United States, to make sure he has a safe flight. He's going to be very cold because there is a bitter cold, but Santa has a way to keep warm. One of those ways is that he's got a lot of chunk on him. When you have a lot of chunk, you can stay warm. Svart is here. Hello to you. Real Playlist, welcome. Elaine Sabatino, great to see you. Azimuth Clark is here. Great to see you, good brother. JK160, Thomas Persona is here. Gothic is here. Welcome to everyone. Glad to see everybody that could make it. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. Why don't we ask the little ones? Does anybody have a tradition, a Christmas Eve tradition that they want to share? I will share this. When I was a child, and I think I've shared this once before. When I was a child, I remember on a Christmas Eve, and my father used to do the house up in these red and blue. That was it. It was all red and blue, the house, lights for Christmas. And they were the kind of the big bulbs, the old school, like you get too close and you get radiation burn from them. And so I remember JK160 said that his children say Merry Christmas. Well, a Merry Christmas to all of you. And it's great to see you. Happy to have you watching. Elaine Sabatino says that they waited to open the Christmas gifts on Christmas Day, Christmas morning, I guess. That's what we did at my family of origin, is we waited for the next day. But I remember at whatever age that I finally wondered. I said, how does Santa get to all of these houses in one night? And I know the adults were saying, oh, it's magic. He's got magic. And of course, he does have magic. Actually, I'm going to ask this question right out front before I go any further. Does anybody know? Don't write it into the chat. If you just say you do know, but don't write the punchline. Does anybody know what ethnicity? Well, we know Santa Claus is white. Good old Saint Nick. Does anybody know what ethnicity of a white person he is? Caleb is here. Great to see you. Merry Christmas, Eve. A good Yule. Promethean. Good Yule. Does anybody know? Do the little kids watching, do they know what ethnicity Santa Claus is? .022 is here. Victorian Time Traveler says he's a Hyperborean. That he is. I tell you what, it feels like many years ago when I learned that word Hyperborean as a youngster, I started referring to the cold outside as Hyperborean misery if it was too frigid out there. And boy, it's Hyperborean misery. And then I would say the summer heat was chthonic anguish. Persona says his ethnicity is German. No, but a good guess. Are you ready, children? His ethnicity is North Polish. North Polish. Big thank you to First Last for that one. That is the ethnicity of Santa Claus. He's North Polish. And we love him for that. But I went out onto the porch, and maybe some of you kids are thinking, how does Santa do this? And of course, I heard that he had magic. And I stepped out on the porch. It was night. The sky was this deep black. And you could see some of the stars out there. But mostly, it was this very bright red and blue lights, string of lights that went right over the porch. And then there was a wreath on the window that had red and blue lights on it. So it was very bright. Those bulbs are bright. And I was staring up at this. It was very, very cold outside. And I was staring up and I was wondering, how could he do it? And then I realized it's not nighttime all around the world at once. There's only a swath of the planet at any time that is in the middle of the night. So he just has to take care of that swath as the globe turns. He just has to keep up with that shadow. And that is how he was able to do it. So reassured, I turned on my heel like a good little soldier and entered the house again, eager for him to show up so that I could run out in the morning and get at those gifts delivered by Santa. But did anybody say anything about, did they have Santa Claus or did they have gifts that they opened? Sometimes I've met people who had gifts that they would open a couple gifts on Christmas Eve and then the remainder Christmas morning. Did anybody have that tradition? North Polish, yes, indeed. Kingdom of Inland says he would have guessed Nordic of some kind. All right, we have another question for the little ones who might be present. How much did Saint Nick, Santa Claus, how much did he pay for his sleigh? How much did he pay for his sleigh? And we're going to start right off with a financial gift over here on Entropy. God bless you, from the one and only Irish Christ. Financially gifting $10, a man who is hard at work for White Wellbeing at all hours of the day. And we absolutely love him for that. He writes with those $10, Merry Promethean Christmas, everybody. I just want to encourage the community to never take the least risky path in their pursuit of white well-being. I always value learning through hardship and failure instead. Those who refuse to take risks are not going free and can't be trusted to lead. Kip. Indeed, very well written, good brother. And Irish Christ gets right out there on the side of the road with signs for the website, with our key concepts, and the police come up and he has a pleasant conversation with them, and then the cops are like, all right, carry on. And he stays there with the signs. That doesn't really happen elsewhere, does it? And especially he's in Canada. Does that really happen in Canada? Well, it does if you're going free and you're as brave as Irish ice. We also have a lovely financial gift over here. Did any of you little ones out there get the answer? How much did Santa Claus have to pay for his sleigh? Well, it was nothing, because it was on the house. Ask your parents to explain that one. Real Play Liz, financially gifting $5, helping us to get started here, bringing us up to $15 financial gifts in total. And she writes, $5 challenge. God bless you. Well, God bless you as well. I don't know what the $5 challenge is. Can somebody tell me what the $5 challenge is? So that I can play along. He built it himself, said Time Traveler. That's what Santa did. How about we get into a heartwarming story about a little puppy who's going to be able to be home with his family on Christmas. That sounds cute, doesn't it? Homeward bound, dog found 1,600 miles away. Will be home for Christmas. Zeppelin is the little dog's name, a 3-year-old German Shepherd mix who's become a minor celebrity over the last few days, is about to be reunited with his family, both adopted and sired, just in time for Christmas. So how about that? So he's going to be back with the people who own him, and also his parents, his actual dog parents. The friendly pooch went missing from his home in West Sacramento, California, more than a year ago, said his owner, Sandra O'Neill. More than a year ago, he hasn't been able to be with his family. How sad is that? Quote, and then last week, I got a call. He's in Kansas, she told NPR. Through a peal of laughter, O'Neill added, I was floored, just shocked when they told me. Zeppelin's mysterious odyssey. What does Santa, little ones out there, what does Santa suffer from when he gets stuck in a chimney? So when Santa is coming down, if you got a chimney that Santa can fit inside of, and he's shimmying down, what is he suffering from if he gets stuck in the chimney? I'll let you think about it for a moment. Exactly how Zeppelin named after one of O'Neill's favorite bands, Led Zeppelin, ended up 1,600 miles away from home remains a mystery. But O'Neill said she's got a theory. In the months before the dog's disappearance, he would roam from O'Neill's vast rural spread to a construction site about a mile away, where the crew would feed him treats and give him lots of pets and attention. What dog wouldn't love that? Quote, "This dog has never met a stranger in his life," she said fondly. "He's a very outgoing, loving dog. So every day he'd go out there, and he'd come home on his own, or I would go out to get him." I don't know that I would let my dog do that, but okay. Why Santa Claus, when he gets stuck in a chimney, he suffers from claustrophobia. Have your parents explain it. Claustrophobia. If it doesn't make sense. But back now to Zeppelin, the dog. But on the evening of October 29, 2021, last year, Zeppelin was nowhere to be found. Panicked, O'Neill said she looked in all of Zeppelin's usual spots to no avail. In the days that followed, she kept returning to the construction site, but again, no one had seen him. She turned to Facebook, posting on every missing dog group she could think of. So did her friends. So she was panicked. Her good little dog Zeppelin had disappeared. He had always come home. In the end, O'Neill said, quote, "I have no proof, but I think somebody down there fell in love with him and took him home." And then a whispered prayer. Over the intervening months, she didn't dare let herself consider worst-case scenario. Instead, she focused on the fact that Zeppelin had been microchipped. Never let the government do that to you, only to the pets. And held out hope that someday a vet might figure out that the gregarious dog had a family waiting for him. O'Neill and her husband live on a big farm with loads of animals. They have horses, goats, chickens, cats, and a handful of abandoned dogs they've rescued. But Zeppelin was always in her thoughts, she said. Quote, "Just the other night, my husband and I were driving past the old construction site, and I said a little prayer. Quote, 'I hope you're somewhere safe,' she whispered to herself." Next morning, O'Neill got a call from the microchip company telling her that Zeppelin had been found in Lewisburg, Kansas. A woman had found the dog on her property one night and took him to the vet to get him checked out. So, it sounds then like Zeppelin was wild for a year. This woman, when she found Zeppelin, she went right to the vet with him to find out maybe this dog has an owner. No collar, I guess. Quote, "I'm just so grateful for all the good folks along the way who helped in training to get this puppy home to us." Zeppelin will be receiving a hero's welcome on Wednesday morning, according to O'Neill, who describes herself as a private, somewhat shy person. A woman named Mary Hastings volunteered to drive him home after visiting her daughter in Kansas. Now, it's a good thing that somebody offered to drive Zeppelin home, because if you're not aware, nearly 3,000 flights in the continental United States have been canceled today. 3,000. Things don't run like they used to. Of course, it's extra cold outside, and that undermines flight and other modes of transportation. But 3,000 flights of people stranded. But maybe like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that movie, they'll end up finding their way home. Did anybody watch that movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? And did anybody say anything about any traditions on Christmas Eve? We had a tradition I will share on Christmas Eve. We would drive out into the community and we would find some lone guy just walking by, some sad sack. And then the whole family, we would jump out, we would run over and beat the piss out of him every Christmas Eve. Boy, those were good times. Vase of Flowers is here. Welcome and good to see you. Ian is here. Hello and welcome. Merry Christmas Eve. Yes, that's what we did. Well, no, that's not what we did. And I'll tell you all, I went to this past week, I went to a Christmas party at a factory I used to work at a long time ago. And that was a lot of fun. So I'll maybe talk about that a little bit if you all would like to know. Did you all go to any Christmas parties? Let's see what else we have here for the little ones. See if we can find one that all the little ones will be able to participate in. All right, this would be a good one that the little ones can. What does Santa always say when he goes on any vacation? Where does Santa always stay when he goes on vacation? So kids, after tomorrow and after Santa's done for a little while, he takes a little break. Where does he stay on vacation? Well, of course, he stays at the hotel. That's where he stays. Ian got it. That's where he stays. So here's the actual tradition. I mean, yeah, we also beat the guy up. But aside from that, we would climb into and it was so just typical American blue collar. And it's probably the same way for our people all over the place. By the way, I'm getting to the point where I'm like freezing cold. You may not be able to tell. I mean, I haven't started shivering yet. But right before we started the gathering tonight, the AC unit that sits in the window, which needs to be in the window year round, because I'm in this small office surrounded by computers, and they generate a lot of heat. The monitors generate a little bit of heat, but the computers generate a lot of heat, and the temperature in here regularly soars. And so the AC unit is there to turn it on, turn it off. But it was last night it was, I think, 5 degrees here, and it was sub-zero, the wind chill, and it froze the AC unit. It doesn't work. So I decided to pull it out really quickly, which was fun. I had to immediately take off my dress shirt and tie and open the window, pull the unit out of the window, set it on a towel. I guess if it starts thawing out, there might be water. And then put a fan in the window, which the temperature outside is currently 20 degrees here. Fahrenheit in the once great state of Virginia, and 20 degrees, actually 19 now I see, 19 degrees, and cold, and it's bringing that air right into the room. And believe it or not, the computers just can't keep up with it for some reason. I don't know why that is. So if you see my lips turning blue, it's not because I'm suffocating. But where was I? Typical blue-collar American spectacle. It was like the kids are clamoring to see the lights. And then, poor old dad, and the mother's like, all right, shut up, or whatever she says, right? And then the father, he's destroyed. Some of you out there may have had parents who could, they might get 2 weeks, or they might get a week, and they might get, my father was a construction worker. He got 0 days without pay. There was no vacation. So you take a day off for Christmas, you didn't get any money. There is no vacation. And so all the way up through Christmas Eve day and into the night was a normal work day for him. And so he would be obliterated and exhausted, and he would get himself, cleaned up some and into into like a nicer flannel shirt, and then we'd all go out to the car that we've had up and down. Things been on jacks and off jacks more times than you can imagine. And we get in the car, and then we go driving around the neighborhood looking at the lights that people put up. Did anybody else have that tradition? We did that for many, many, many years. That was a lot of fun. And then, of course, I think like everybody does, or most, I guess, when we get home, as we're pulling up on that house, we pretend like we don't know whose house it is. And we all say, "That's the best house. Look at the beautiful lights on that house." That's great. And we were all ready, for bed, essentially, after, beating up the guy. But no, my father would be ready to go straight to sleep. But it was hard for me, I guess, maybe at any point to sleep. But certainly difficult on the night that I knew that Santa Claus was going to be coming and leaving all kinds of wonderful goodies under the tree. And did y'all have your mother, your father decorate also like the inside of the house? Did they have a really nice aesthetic? Was it really gaudy? Do you have any funny memories, or do you have any wonderful memories about the decorations that used to go up, and fond childhood memories of the kinds of things that you used to see? I remember my mother would hang this string of lights over the windows in the dining room, and they were these red. It was like a red. Each one was like a red bell, and it just had a white bulb up inside of it. But it lit the red bell, bright red, and then it was between the red bells. It was like ivy running along, looked like ivy, and that was one of the things for me that really I knew it was Christmas time. Then when that went up, I was like, oh yeah, it's Christmas. I used to take there were these ornaments that, oh, and by the way, when I was a child, we still had all of those wonderful just pieces. They were like maybe like this long, and they were very shiny, of lead. And we would just handle those things and put them all over the tree. They were a bitch to get off, and then of course we had lead all over our hands, and then we went ahead and like ate with our hands. It was fun. The buzz would last for days. But those things were actually, I guess they outlawed them. Does anybody know? Or did people just wise up? Did they make them illegal, or did people wise up? But it was, they were really pretty actually on the tree, because they I guess because of the weight of the lead, the way that they lay on each of the branches, it was beautiful. And they reflected all of the lights coming off of the tree. Let me see what you all are saying. See if anybody has any of their own traditions or stories. Soot-covered pavlova, what's that? I am definitely getting cold. I'm going to have to turn that off in just a minute. Irish Christ is here. He says, hey, brother, in the future, please refer to it as traffic capture advocacy. Will do. Not on the road. Yes. Okay. Traffic capture advocacy. Yes. We will do that. Merry Christmas. Good Yule to you, sir. In fact, I think I will do. I'm not going to do it in January here. Oh my God, that'll be brutal. But I will be doing that at some point at the beginning of the year. We'll get out there, get some video of that. I'll talk with motorists. We're going to make 23 a big year, but we'll talk about that some more. What does, little ones, listen up. Remember these so that you can tell all your relatives next time you see them. What does Santa do when the reindeer drive too fast? When they drive the sleigh, they pull the sleigh too quickly. What does he do? He holds on for dear life. Make sure you tell your uncles and aunts these jokes. Is RC the realist here? Yes, he is. Great to see you. Merry Christmas, good Yule. So what I was getting at about the tree was I used to take, like my mother would decorate it beautifully. She would allow us to help, but like we could put like an ornament here. Can we put it here? Yes, you could put it, that sort of thing. But then after she would go away and she would do other, she would make her way to the kitchen. These were some of the fondest memories of all. She'd make her way to the kitchen, and a lot of the other lights in the house would be off, but like those bells I was talking about and the Christmas tree and this sort of thing would be on. It would just be mesmerizing and beautiful. I would go around the tree and I would pull off all of these ornaments that were they were mirrors in different shapes, like diamonds and squares and rectangles. And I would take them all off. I don't know how many there were, maybe 10 total. And then I would lie under the tree. This is something I used to love to do. And kids, if you want to do something really cool, lie down under the Christmas tree with the approval of your parents, of course, and then look up through the branches. It's really fun. And I would take these mirrors and I would stick my arms up through the bottom of the tree. And I would get really close to the trunk of the tree. Now, these were artificial trees, but very close to the trunk of the tree. And I would hang them all together so that I could have this like hall of mirrors inside the tree that I knew was there and no one else did. Of course, my siblings would find out, and then eventually my mother, and she would say, "What are you doing with those damn ornaments?" Nothing. Yes, it does, Irish Christ. It does have a good ring to it. You're right, brother. Well, Zeppelin, what ended up happening? Zeppelin will be receiving the hero's welcome. I'm sure he's going to love every minute of the drive up from Kansas. What was it, 1,600 miles, said O'Neill. There's going to be a press conference, actually, for little Zeppelin when he gets home, German Shepherd. It's going to be a media circus, she said, laughing. But I can't wait to see him. We've missed him so much. Still the most delighted by the idea of Zeppelin's own family reunion. Before embarking on the Grand Odyssey, he sired a litter of puppies. They were just weeks old when he vanished. And while O'Neill gave away most of these puppies, she kept 2, Angus and Sweet Pea. So these, I guess, are relatives of Zeppelin. Now, after the equivalent of about 13 dog years, think about how long that is. 13 dog years, he will finally be reunited with his family. O'Neill exclaimed, "He was the best doggy daddy." Oh, these are his children, his offspring that he's going to be seeing. He's going to be so happy. Isn't that a great story? Zeppelin's making it home. He's going to be able to spend some time with his family for Christmas. That's really wonderful. Is everything still working okay on your end, folks? We have 2 more financial gifts, and it looks like they're both from Matt. Thank you so much, Matt. The first one here, it's on Entropy, both of them, and it says, with $10 financial gift, just got home from my parents' house. We discussed anti-whiteism and NWG for 2 hours. My mother reacted very positive to our concepts defeating anti-whiteism. That is glorious. What great news. Thank you for sharing that, Matt. Let's get some raucous emojis in the house, the Christmas Eve house for Matt here. I might do a bit of magic for the kids here in just 1 minute. The kids want to see some magic. If there are any children watching, we might show them some magic, and maybe we'll have a look to see if we can find exactly where Santa is on the globe right now. As I last mentioned, he was around Italy the last time I looked on the radar. Brad C is here. So this is completely epic by Matt, that he brought this up with his family and his mother. And that's the real hurdle, we all know. Women control the home in the West. That's the reality. And so that's 99 out of 100 cases. And the man will just acquiesce. If not immediately, he eventually will acquiesce. So the real hurdle is getting the mother to adopt, to accept, to tolerate white well-being. And of course, that's easily done since we hold the moral high ground. And so thank you so much. And we'll get to your next financial gift in just a moment. But kids, watch closely. I'm going to do a bit of Santa magic. As the temperature drops to 18 degrees outside, Santa is going to send me some of his powers, some of his magic Santa powers. And I'm going to see if I can do this. Where did I go? Where did Jason go? Where did No White Guilt go? Well, let's see if I can bring us back. I'll just do a little bit of one of these. There I am. Magic. I had a relative, very young relative, and many years ago, and I had the auto start key fob in my pocket, and took him out. It was around Christmas time. Took him out to the driveway, and I said, stick your arm out like this, and I want you to concentrate. Tell the car to start. Tell it. Just think really hard. Say start. And he was grinning and giggling, and he stuck his little hand out, and he said, start. And that thing went, whoa, and fired right up. He jumped. It was great. I said, whoa, you did it. You worked on the first try. Magic. All right. We're going to play RC the Realist's Christmas song here today as well. Did the music come through that I was playing earlier at the beginning of the gathering? Did it work well? So I'm sharing some. What else did we used to do on Christmas Eve? Boy, that was tough. Did anybody else, when you were a child, did you have a hard time getting to sleep when you knew Santa was coming? And were you listening for the sleigh to land on the roof? And were you the child of a working class family? And did you have the inappropriate speculation about how much it would damage shingles because you had heard adults talk about damaging shingles in other contexts? And so you wondered, is this going to damage the shingles? When you probably shouldn't have even known what shingles were. Artificer is here. Great to see you. All right. Here's a question for everybody. We go to the professionals for this. How would you describe yourself as a child during Christmas? How would you describe yourself as a child? Were you super excited? Were you laconic? Were you histrionic? Were you bad? Did your mother have to threaten you? Was Santa leaving you cold? How would you describe yourself as a child? I was definitely pensive and excited. Yeah, Kate cannot. She has this in it. She says challenging. She is incapable of restraining herself from looking into a package. I'm not kidding. this like have to know, like panic, excited. It could be toothpaste inside the pack, but she doesn't know. And so therefore, she's got to get into it. Machiavelli Sucks is here. Is that right? Caleb was super excited. We're going to get into our next story. Let me see if I can find Santa as well for us. Where exactly is Santa right now? I wonder if I can put him up on the map, or if this is just not gonna on the screen, or if this is just takes up too much ungodly bandwidth to be able to do. We'll see. If I start going weird, tell me right away. Like if it starts audio messing up, video messing up, tell me right away, because I'm not going to be able to know on my end. So where is, well, oh boy, it looks like Santa is over Algeria right now. Over Algeria. That's in northern Africa, south of Spain. Let's see if I can. That's not what we want. Let's find the better way to do this. And maybe it won't screw us up here. All right, this might do it this way. Okay, there we go. All right, well, there's the map. And let's go ahead and zoom in, kids. There he is. Can you see the sleigh? Oh, look there. Are you able to see him? That's him. That's the sleigh. There he is. He's sailing over Algeria in northern Africa right now. He was in Italy and Spain in Europe not too long ago. Now he's traveling over Algeria in northern Africa. So we'll continue to give you updates as they come in to us. Is it working all right? Vase of Flowers says, has a big Christmas past confession after making a cup of tea. A chocolate abomination involving my nan, writes Vase of Flowers. Very interested to find out what happened there. Ultra Testosterone is with us. Promethean hails to you, good sir. Great to see you. All right. Now we have another story. But I will pose this to the kids. Which of Santa's reindeer have the best moves? Do you know the names of the reindeer? I'll give you a minute to think about it. Which of Santa's reindeer have the best moves? I'll give you a hint. On the dance floor. When they're out on the dance floor. This is a heartwarming tale. A sad, it's one of those poignant struggles. And what I'll be doing here in just a moment is I will read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas for the little ones, because I don't know how much longer they'll be with us. So it'll be at the top of the hour here and maybe just after. And I will read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And we'll take a short break. And then we will continue. And it'll still be child friendly until we make sure that there are no more children in the room. And then it's not like it's going to get gross or something. But despite brain cancer diagnosis, Christmas is still on for Sultan's Santa. Meet Brett Nichols, high school custodian and second-generation Santa, who's hoping for a miracle of his own. Everyone in Sultan knows Brett Nichols by another name, Santa. Most of the year, Nichols 50. Now, kids, he's not the actual Santa. He's one of the many Santas that work for the real Santa. And he's one of the ones that you tell him what you want, and then he relays that information to the real Santa. He's a custodian at Sultan High School. But come winter, he grows out his beard and dons a handmade Santa suit, handmade, with a bit of a leopard print in the fur collar. I didn't see any leopard print looking at him. Maybe it's on the inside. It says for flair. He poses for Christmas cards and gathers all the Christmas wishes from the kids of Sultan. Being Santa is a family tradition and a part of Nicholas's identity. He wears the same handmade Santa suit his father wore for the kids of Sultan decades before. When his father passed away, the suit passed on to Nicholas. Isn't that wonderful? They have this deal with Santa, this dad and his son, and he's keeping the tradition going, even though he's sick. Okay, did we have any of you kids out there figure out which of the reindeer has the best moves? Well, of course, it's Dancer. Dancer has the best moves. And how about this one? I know you little ones will love this. Why doesn't Santa eat junk food? Now, you know, you've heard before, if you put out a couple cookies and some milk, Santa will have that. But he's not a junk food eater. Why is that? Do you know? Why? Because it's bad for his elf. It's bad for Santa's elf, obviously. Have your mom and dad explain it. It's bad for his elf. Oh, Franklin said Prancer too. Yeah, Prancer would work. Dancer and Prancer. No, I think Vixen is probably found on the kind of stages that you don't want your kids to go sit at. Being Santa is a family tradition and a part of Nicholas's identity. Quote, I was scared at first, living up to my dad's shoes. Living up to my dad's shoes? Stepping in your dad's shoes? Wearing your dad's shoes? But I did it. And then it got a little easier, he said. And people kept asking me, could you do this? Could you do that? So I did. But this year, 2 months before this Christmas season, Nicholas received a devastating diagnosis: brain cancer. Nicholas had bouts of dizziness and a mysterious clenching in his hand for about a year. The root cause of the varied symptoms were a multitude of masks. It could have been the long-term effects of COVID. I wonder if he got the vaccine. His blood sugar regulation, or a variety of other issues. Surprise, if he's overweight and he's got blood sugar issues. In October, however, Nicholas went in for a CT scan, and doctors found 2 brain tumors. An MRI the following week confirmed the tumors were cancerous. Nicholas, so he's beginning this treatment, and he's still doing the Santa role. That is marvelous. What a champion. Nicholas's partner of 15 years, Tammy Lynn, took him to appointments and helped him when he felt fatigued. They each have kids of their own and had talked about marriage before, but they decided the legal title wasn't necessary. Instead, they bought wedding rings on their 1-year anniversary and had them engraved with the letters BLT for Brett Loves Tammy. That's really sweet. Lynn wanted to be there for Nicholas in the hospital, but only spouses and direct family are allowed in. Days ahead of a brain biopsy appointment, they decided to not wait any longer. The couple planned their wedding in 2 days. They called their children and grandchildren, inviting everyone to a rest stop. That's awesome. At the top of this, how do you pronounce that? Pass for a makeshift wedding. One of Lynn's daughters called a nearby inn, asking if they could borrow the lobby for a quick ceremony. Nicholas's niece, a photographer, offered to take photos. Another of Tammy's daughters made special sugar-free sugar cookies in place of a wedding cake. But Nicholas didn't have to search for a suit. He had just the one. Lynn found a matching red dress, leaning into her new role as Mrs. Claus. Wearing the Santa suit at our wedding, it made me feel like Dad was there too, Nicholas said. Lynn, now Tammy, Nicholas, reminisced on how the pieces came together. That whole first fall we started dating, I couldn't stop smiling. I never thought I'd get married again. I was happy. I had 6 kids. Whew. I didn't need to get married, she said, but he always made me smile. He still makes me smile. Wish the very best for these folks. I guess this is what they're calling leopard print. It's not as I was thinking. It's just like the white with some black flecks. 30 family members drove up for the November 20 wedding. The duo exchanged vows in the lobby of the inn and took pictures outside in the snow. The family feasted on pancakes and BLT sandwiches because Brett loves Tammy. It was a perfect Christmas wedding. On November 23rd, Brett Nicholas underwent his biopsy. Doctors took samples of tissue and each tumor to better determine each treatment moving forward. They expect to have answers and next steps in late December. The biopsy alone cost $187,000. And while most of that was covered by insurance, the newlyweds had to pay $1,200 out of pocket, a sum they could not afford. Brett's stepdaughter, Kezia Wag, started an online fundraiser with a goal of $10,000. Well, that's certainly more than they need. We have to have the biopsy to guide treatment, but I wouldn't have had $1,200 in my bank account to cover that, Tammy Nicholas said. All those people who took Santa's picture with him over the years contributed to that GoFundMe and covered his biopsy. Boy, that's really heartwarming, isn't it? That's pristine. That's white America. That is really wonderful. December 4, just a week after the procedure, Nichols suited up his red fur Santa cap, which hid rows of staples on his head. Snow had fallen the night before, blanketing US 2 with white powder. Nestled back in the pine trees, Nichols posed with family after family, grinning and jolly. Could you imagine that? Grinning and jolly. The Hancock family had been taking pictures with Nicholas for 7 years. Mother Rhonda Hancock said that they have been praying for Nichols. I cried when I found out he was sick, Hancock said. He loves what he does, and he's good at it. Every year, it's the same thing. My daughter gets excited to see him and can't stop talking about it. We get there, and she's shy because he's a very big deal for her to visit with him. And then on the way home, she can't stop talking about Santa. It's pretty adorable. I hope that Santa Brett knows how much she loves visiting him every year. I bet he does. Goes on here, kids clambered into his lap and confided their wishes for a Barbie dream house, Star Wars set, Lego Star Wars set. Santa Brett promised to report back to the head honcho in the North Pole, seeing as he's one of Santa's helpers. The Johnson twins took their first picture in Santa's lap at just 3 months old, and then again a year later, wailing and crying in his arms. Now 8 years old, the girls know him. He's like family. Brett says his Christmas wish is just to get better. Well, isn't that wonderful? I will see if I can let's get his picture up on the screen so you can see this guy. And then I will go to Matt's second financial gift. And looks like we got Simon JJ is up there as well. I'll just grab a screen share here so you can see. There's the old boy. Good on him. Healthcare system is ridiculous. We would have the best healthcare. The people with the best healthcare in the world, of course, beyond trillionaires, billionaires, the people who print the money, it obviously couldn't get any better. But for everyone else, the people with the best healthcare are the members of Congress in the U.S. government. And the reason why they have the best healthcare, it's no secret, everybody knows this, is that all of the insurance companies across the country have to compete with each other for their business. As a consequence, they have to pay next to nothing, and they get the best treatment imaginable. And they vote themselves always, again and again, to not have to comply with what the rest of us have to deal with. That's what our so-called elected officials are up to. So if you wanted the best healthcare in the world, there's a very easy remedy for this. Lots of insurance companies all having to compete for your business. The more insurance companies competing for your business, the better. Then you'll end up with very low rates and marvelous benefits. Now, of course, we have to address the issue in the healthcare system where so much is being wasted because the people who compose the healthcare system are infected with anti-whiteism. And so that is informing all of their decisions. We'd have to get rid of that as well to really improve healthcare. But that is a quick way. And there's your Santa Claus right there. We wish him well. If you pray, please some prayers for that guy, and that he will get better. He'll defeat if there's anybody that deserves to defeat the cancer, it's somebody who's bringing joy and safety to children, kind of like me. But God bless him. All right, are we about ready for a reading of It 'Twas the Night Before Christmas? Let me see what you all are saying. Elaine is saying hello to everybody. Saying her phone won't allow her to switch to speed me up, to double the speed on me, so she can catch everything that she missed. Let me get to these financial gifts. Matt, financially gifting the other financial gift of $3. God bless you and thank you, brother. He writes, left them after we watched the great swashbuckling champ Caleb's video on YouTube. We're stopping anti-whiteism, baby. That's fantastic. Can you believe Matt went to his parents and he was like, let's have a conversation about anti-whiteism. Let's have a conversation about white well-being. You can do that. You can do that with white well-being. You can sit down with mom and dad and have a conversation. You can sit down with son and daughter and have a conversation about white well-being. And then watching that video, that's a hilarious video. If you haven't shared that video, then you absolutely got to get on top of that. Put it all over your social media. Nobody's going to watch that and think dreadful thoughts about you. Thank you so much for that, Matt. The financial gifts. Merry Christmas. Good Yule to you, good sir. And let's see what Simon JJ, get out your 07s and your raucous emojis. 07s for Simon JJ, because he financially gifted 25 British Bulldog bucks. 25 Bulldog bucks. Pounds, that is, baby. Pounds. He says, have a wonderful 25th pound December, Jason. Well, God bless you for that. Thank you so very much. That's Simon JJ, folks. Definitely hitting the $20 mark of raucous emoji celebration with his 25-pound financial gift. And we also have some financial gift over there on D Live now that I can oddly receive financial gifts there again after years of being prohibited from receiving financial gifts. We have, looks like JK160 has financially gifted one diamond. And with that diamond, he says, love the show. And thank you so much for that diamond. And then financially gifts another diamond, a second diamond. And with that diamond, he says, Merry Christmas. Well, big Merry Christmas to you. Good Yule to you and your loved ones. And looks like Odyssey is trying to reload. And we'll see if we have anything over there or not. And I'll turn around and we have, if you were on, your finger was on the raucous emojis, keep them going. Because we have Maki came in with a $25, 25 US, let's do it with love, free Western kind dollars. God bless you, Maki. I really appreciate it. He says $25, and he asks with the $25, is Santa real? Yes. The easiest question to answer in the history of the planet. Yes, without question. Santa is real, and he'll be visiting all the homes of the little children tonight. Thank you all for celebrating. When we ask for celebration for those who deserve it, it's a snow leopard. That's what it was. Time Traveler said it. It's a wonderful thing, so thank you all for that. All right. We need to celebrate. We need to celebrate ourselves. We need to celebrate each other, or it won't happen. It won't get done. So let me get a drink of water, and we're going to do 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, a live reading. I released a video of me reading it just a couple days ago. And it was a lot of fun. It's actually a great poem. Lunder is here. Great to see you. Merry Santa Day, Jason. May your present stack be as tall as the tree. I better go get a big tree. Thank you, brother. Thank you indeed. Merry Christmas to you. Good Yule. And you all are already having your Christmas morning. Think about that, kids, that Lunder here is on the other side of the world, and it's already tomorrow there. So Santa has already visited. Before we read the poem, one more, and of course, Night Before Christmas is not long. One more for the kids. Why? Now, what's this one? What is Santa's dog's name? What does Santa call his dog? Santa Paws. Now, don't you want to get a dog and name it Santa Paws? All right. Let's have a go with this. I don't know, some of you, if it's dinner time or getting ready to be dinner time, I don't know, maybe this is appropriate. You can try to get the children to wind down. Let me get my glasses. All right, here we go. Let me get the... 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the house the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my hand and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying a finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
On the ground, snow and our hearts aglow. We're all thankful for another year on the go. The days are getting short and the nights are cold. I wanna celebrate with all of my folks. So go and put up that mistletoe, 'cause we need more West babies, ladies, you should know. Gonna throw some red up on that green tree. So glad that I have my family with me. It's time for us to come together, 'cause no matter what faith you are, we gotta keep our traditions forever. So this Christmas, we'll gather around the Yule log, and this Christmas, we'll make a plate for those passed on, and this Christmas, we'll apply ancestral rule, 'cause it's Christmas. It won't be our first rule. Out with the old and in with the new. What should I give up this year? What will I be adding to the new? A resolution to help us grow, working toward our destiny to be at home. So make a lot of noise and show you care. Wanna see how much love we can feel in the air. Have some food, have some drinks, most of all have some fun. Cut the cake, find the bean, who is the lucky one? It's time for us to come together, 'cause no matter what faith you are, we gotta keep our traditions forever. So this Christmas, we'll gather around the Yule log, and this Christmas, we'll make a plate for those passed on, and this Christmas, we'll apply ancestral rule, 'cause it's Christmas. It won't be our first rule. No better feeling than being close to who you love, no matter if they're here or they're sending their love from above. There's no better feeling than being close to who you love. This Christmas, so this Christmas, we'll gather around the Yule log, and this Christmas, we'll make a plate for those passed on, and this Christmas, we'll apply ancestral rule, 'cause it's Christmas. It will be our first rule. Happy Yule and Merry Christmas.
And is this working? I don't know. Nothing on the streaming software is playing what you all are seeing. So I am like flying blind. I have to wear all the different hats for streaming. You have to be the engineer. You have to be the tech. You have to be the talent. You have to be the... Lunder says it's working. Artificer says nice transition. Thank you so much. And we just left that wonderful little library, somebody else's library. It was great. And but we're back. We're back here, and we're ready to keep rolling, having a lot of fun here on this Christmas Eve and good Yule. And it's wonderful that we're with everybody here today. And if you can share that, we are live, and there are people out there who have nothing to do, and that's what I want to talk about next. Is, do you know somebody who's not doing well? This is a time of year that things can get really hard for people. They'll often reflect on, and everybody does it. I mean, I know I have as well. You reflect on things like what we don't have and what we haven't achieved, and that can be very depressing, especially looking at other people. At least the impression is, we always have this impression that when we see a scene, especially in the social media era, you see this spectacle all around you. It's filters everywhere. It's fake everywhere. But it's so easy. I mean, we've even heard about these single mothers who will take, not all of them, but will take their children to the beach. Read articles about this. Take them to the beach and get photos of them playing with the children, or the children playing. And it might take like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get just the best photos. And as soon as they're done, they wrap it all up and back to the car. People looking at that, they get this impression that it's this picture perfect life that they're looking at. And in reality, it's far from a picture perfect life. So if you know somebody like that, or you suspect that somebody out there is suffering in this time of year, they're alone, they're lonely, they're magnifying the things that couldn't be genuinely objectionable in their lives, try to reach out to them and show them some love, especially in the white sympathetic sphere in general, and absolutely within our white positive circle here. If someone is down and out and they think, well, things are just getting worse and worse all the time, be there for them. And we are making enormous changes. And I know it's hard to see, because it's so easy to see everything that's bad in the world. It's so easy to see our countries being inundated with intruders, with people who don't have our biospirit, and that once they have numerical courage, they change our environments to reflect themselves, and it feels alien to us. We have a deep sense of loss that society doesn't care about, because the anti-white narrative and anti-white morality is what governs society. And so, as a consequence, it's easy to see all that's bad, especially when you are inclined to peruse and to entertain the shows and the rest of folks who are just doom documenting, doom dissecting, doom divining. This might be the worst time of year for you to do that. There's nothing that's going to happen that they could doom document to you this time of year that's going to benefit you at all. Nothing. None of that information is going to benefit you. So my suggestion is, especially if you're close on the line to that sort of thing, don't watch any of it. Don't imbibe any of it. Don't read any of it. Look at all of the positive steps that we have taken. And yes, the top of that mountain, that you can now see the dawn of the sun rising in the west, just beyond, is still a long way away. But We have never moved from the bottom of the mountain until the Go Free method. Absolutely revolutionizing the resistance against anti-whiteism. For the first time, manipulating those with all the power in the world. Focus on that. Now, with a little bit of money and effort and number of people that we have manipulated the most powerful beings on planet Earth to do our will. And that will continue happening. And we'll take bigger and bigger strides. We don't know what next year is going to hold for us. It might be very, very big things. So yeah, please throw your arm around somebody if they're feeling down, they're feeling bad. And when it comes to yourself, know that it's normal for that to happen. You're not any less of a man or any less of a woman to reflect and to get down, to get despondent. Those feelings are not illegitimate or wrong, and you shouldn't. I wouldn't suggest attempting to suppress them. Let yourself see them for what they really are. See the negative things for what they really are. No more. Don't build them into this bête noire that you have to contend with. And then, once you have allowed yourself to see the way things actually are, then say, I've done it, I've felt it, and then focus then on the good. Focus on what you can do to change the world. Because it's going to be little acts of individuals all coming together like the H2O molecules that make the tidal wave, that create the energy that washes away all that is sick and ugly and despicable in the world. And you can see this time of year, it's a wonderful time of year, because you can see the firsthand the power of love. You know, this, I don't know what's going to end up happening with this guy who plays, who's one of Santa's helpers. But you better believe, and you know well, you'll probably recall stories where the power of love and desire, and I don't mean the physical desire, but the drive, that power of love has overcome so many things in your life. You've witnessed it. You've probably experienced it either firsthand or within yourself. That is one of the main reasons why we have to imbue ourselves with that spirit and have that be what animates us to go out into the world. That's the only thing that will actually give you courage. When I and the GFC of Virginia went to ask those questions of the mayor and mayoral candidate, we weren't skittish, rat-looking people, which all of these others who proclaim to be standing up for our people, they know that they have these really ugly thoughts in their heads. And that's why they look like they are hiding something. That's why they look like they know they're wrong. That's why they look like they know they're playing the villain. That energy that's projected, and I'm sharing with you something very profound here. That energy that's projected from you to the world is more powerful than anything that could come out of, than any words that you could actually say to change a person's mind. How do you get to that energy? There's no way to fake it. There's no way for that to be illusory on like some individual basis. You have to be it. If you are the love for our people, if you are the love for Western civilization and our countries, and you have no malice for any other group of people, no other group of people need to be harmed one iota for us to have well-being. If you are that and you live that, that will come through, and everyone around you will feel that energy. And I'm not talking about something mysterious. I'm not talking about like some extrasensory perception or an extra power that can't be measured. You do this all the time with animals because they can't speak. They can't communicate with us. So why is it that one person walks into the backyard and the dog, just your average dog, I'm not talking about like some sort of a problem dog or whatever, but your average dog will disrespect, lunge at, jump on, whatever. One person that comes in that person says nothing. And then another person comes in, says nothing, and the dog is totally obedient to that person. It's because of the energy. So if you are what we say you have to be here in service to white well-being, you will project that. You will change the minds of those around you in a positive way, and it's contagious. That's what I said this has to be. It has to be a curative contagion, and that's what we have created with the Go Free method, so that it communicates from one person to the next. How does that happen? Not because there is us pushing from behind because we can't be there, but because they pull toward them. This is a very nuanced and complicated thing, but and as a consequence, so many don't understand it. But this is how it works. This is how we are succeeding, and we will continue succeeding. So we got a couple of pieces of mail in the mailbox today, in the mailbag, and we're going to get to those in just a minute from some true champions out there. I'll see what you all are saying. Simon JJ says, we've been so long at the base of this mountain. It feels good to be making our way up now. Hail, no white guilt. Well, God bless you, man. Hail to you as well. Promethean hails. Yes, it does feel really good. And it can be frustrating that we haven't gone further, and it can be frustrating that not only do we have the anti-whites, which we expect to be trying to push down at us, trying to prevent us from climbing the mountain, but then we also have so many trying to pull up from behind that are supposedly allies. They're trying to pull us back down. It's that crab in the bucket phenomenon. But nonetheless, we are making our way up, and very well said. God bless you. And Kingdom of Inland is asking a great question. Where is Santa on the radar? Let's have a look. And where are you, buddy? Oh, boy. Where is Santa? Let's put him up on the screen. Here we go. And it looks like Santa is in the United Kingdom. Let's zoom in on him. Is he up on the screen there? Let me see if I can do this. How about that? Let's zoom in on old Santa. Well, looky there. He is in the United Kingdom. Can you see him, kids? There he is with the reindeer, delivering gifts in the United Kingdom as we speak. All the good little kids over there. All right. Let me see what you all are saying, and we will keep this rolling along. We do have one more story, and how about some stories from you all? I think maybe we'll do maybe we'll get to 7, and then we will, if there are any children present, we will bid them adieu, and we will continue with some other maybe jokes. We've asked the question, what do you do for Christmas Eve? Here's the next question from the professionals. See if anybody will chime in on this. For those, which I think are most, who open their presents on Christmas Day, how many of you open them right in the morning, or do you wait till later in the day? Maybe you got folks coming over and you wait till later in the day. Which is it? Do you tear into them right away? We know Kate would, with her mouth, if she had to. If her hands were cut off, she would be doing it with her face. Through the packages. Caleb says that Mark has been naughty this year, so he won't be getting any presents. Tristan is here. Hello to you and welcome. Franklin says doom documenting yields no results. It doesn't. Well, the result in service of our objective. Precisely. It does harm people tremendously. Simon says, you're back in the office. That's right. Made it happen. Now, wasn't Vase going to tell us about some, maybe already did, about some naughty business on a Christmas Eve? 00022, Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve, and Happy Yule. Amen. And same to you. Irish Christ says he's thinking if anybody is up his way. He says that there's a business in Canada that is implementing some really stringent anti-white hiring practices. And he's wondering about maybe doing a protest there. Monica is here and says, Merry Christmas, no white guilt, blessings. Blessings back to you from the once great state of Virginia. Klomp is with us. Hello to you. Lander says, Merry Santa Day. All right. Lunder points out that Santa is a border crosser. Technically, that's true. Technically, that's true. He's allowed to cross our borders, though. We love him. All right. Is Odyssey working for anybody? If somebody's over there, maybe mention that it is in the chat. Oh, you know, we should be on my Rumble channel. Live right now. The stream should be live on my Rumble channel. So if anybody heads on over there to check it out to see if it is, then please do come back here and let us know. I would appreciate that. All right. One more tale. And this is a touching one as well. Man has spelled out Hi Kevin in Christmas lights for 20 years to honor his neighbor. I'll put him up on the screen too when we read through that. But that is coming up. My family and I, my father would actually carry all of the children down the hallway. So very strong. Would carry all the children down the hallway. And then I remember we would, whatever time in the morning it is. And seeing the Christmas tree, my mother did a good job seeing that Christmas tree and the gifts now under these wrapped gifts. It was absolutely exhilarating. And of course, there were gifts also brought by the big man himself, Santa Claus. And we would, as soon as our feet hit the floor, we were running full speed. I know I was, like a missile for my pile. And we all would be like hollering and screaming and so excited. And I always took my time going through and opening the gifts. Even though I would run over there and I would want to just shred the paper off of everything, I would really take my time. I would sit down and I would pick up. I would just kind of like take it in. I would look at all of the gifts and I would just like take it in that they were there, because obviously that's not a normal state of affairs. And I would just kind of take it and I'd be like, wow, look at these things that are wrapped up. I would kind of like get among them. Then I would pick one up and kind of hold it for a little while, look at it and set it down and pick another one up. And meanwhile, my siblings are just going through things like a bandsaw on crack cocaine, chewing things out, circular saw on crack cocaine, battery powered, shredding everything to pieces. But I was the opposite. And then I would slowly open one, and then once I would get the gift open, I would take my time. I would open many of not only unwrap, but then I actually also open the gift. And I didn't get up and go anywhere. Like I'm not saying that I came back like in the evening and finished no, nothing like that. I was just unwrapping for a couple of hours because I would just take so long. And there would be the old man would come out, and my mother, I never really, I guess I always noticed that she looked sleepy because she would be up, not only had she wrapped the gifts that were from her and my dad, not from Santa, but she was also making food. That was the other thing, was the smell of the food that she would make for Christmas dinner. That was just succulent, and it would just waft through the house. It was really amazing. So she would be up all night long doing that. I don't know, an hour or two of sleep, if that. So she would be, while we were opening things, she would kind of go back and forth to the kitchen because she was still preparing the meal, because we'd have relatives coming over, and then we would have the meal, and we'd exchange gifts with them at that time. But the old man, he would go, and of course every morning he would go and get a big cup of coffee, and then that smell would be wafting through the house. And at that time, of course I was a child. I didn't drink coffee. That would be mental. If you're feeding coffee to your kids, you're nuts. But the smell of it was just like ambrosial, and that would waft through the house. So there would be like the smell of, like, for example, one of my favorite dishes was dumplings. My gosh, the smell of like dumplings and noodles and so many different things. The pie or pies, and then the coffee, the smell of the coffee. Come on. How is that not magic? Right? Simple things. You don't have to have like your spouse or whatever, and then your children, and they come out and you have like an actual unicorn for things to be special. It'd be crapping in your house anyhow, so you wouldn't want that. But these little things, those are the big memories. I spent a lot of years with my dad. We'd go and check on seniors and in the city, and then on the Virginia side, and listen to them, and also seniors in the family, of course. And you hear them talk about their childhoods. And this is everybody, like before our generations, nothing was ample, right? It was, of course, it puts the lie to what we know is a lie, a meme pathogen, this white privilege and all of this sort of Bravo Sierra. They would get like two things or one thing, and they loved it like you wouldn't believe. They would come to life in front of you like nothing you could imagine. They'd be like, and then I got this, and I'm thinking, one thing? But that was pure magic so it doesn't need to be something extraordinary, gift-wise or what have you, for it to be extraordinary. And it was those simple things, like the smells of the food. Of course, the olfactory memory is very strong in the human animal. But so the old man would get the coffee, and then, like, true to form, he's in like all long johns, blue collar, worker, and he would sit down on the couch, which is like I think the only time of any day in the entire year that you could find him on the couch. And he would sit back and watch, and then we would find a gift for him, especially if it was a gift for him from Santa. We would like run over and throw it at him. And he would just like sit. He would have like these things and sitting around. He'd be sitting like a couple things here or there. And just, I can even still remember the coffee, the mugs, the coffee mugs. And I would still be going. Siblings would be done, and I would, and now, my mom now just kind of like staying in the kitchen because now like the race is on to get done before the relatives come, and I'm still like, here's another gift. And the old man would just stay there with me. He wouldn't go anywhere. He's like, this kid's still got things to open up. I'm not going to leave him on his own. So he'd just hang out there. And they'd put on the TV the what is it? What do they have on Christmas Day? It was some kind of, it always seemed like there was there a parade? No. What is it that they show on Christmas Day? Simon JJ says he can't find the live stream on Rumble. Well, it's supposed to be there. They assured me. Let's see. Let's see if it's showing up. On my channel or not. No, it says it's if you go to rumble.com, I guess the link is hopefully it's the right link. Can I just share this? Looks like it's going. Let's see what you all see. Okay, are you all able to go to that link? Says it's live. Let's see if when I start it up, if it's rolling or not. And it says I'm the only one watching it. So that's how much good Rumble is. Is it now? It says there are two people there, so somebody else went over. Is it playing for you? Because it's not for me. We're having issues today. Oh, there it is. It's working. All right. Baldur says that I'm my own audience. You have no idea, brother, how many times I've mentioned before, how many times I had meetings and I would advertise and I would go out to a place. It'd be a community center or library, and no one would show up for White Wellbeing. They're like, you mean he's not just going to talk about some other race of people for a couple hours of things we already pretty much know and then just say them again and again? No. Oh, well, I'm not interested. Simon says he can see it now. Awesome. Promethean Promulgation said, did you smell the packages or was that just me? I did smell them. So you're not alone, my friend. You are not. The smell of wrapping paper the pungent ink, and Scotch tape is like stuck, pun intended, in my brain forevermore. It is there forevermore. I remember I got a bicycle one Christmas. That was really awesome. What was your favorite gift? Or before, I mean, you can answer that question, but did anybody have any other memories that about Christmas morning? Then we'd have the relatives would all show up, and slowly, I guess, a group at a time. And we had, when I was very young, like way too many people come over, just a lot of relatives. They would just like pack into the house, be more and more of them packing into the house. And my mother would just put out this huge spread of food. Yeah, that was, and then all the adults, all the guys would be drinking coffee then. There wasn't like a room, and I mean, you had like the living room, and then the dining room, and the kitchen, and the family room, and they all were full of people. And it would usually be the mostly ladies in like the living room. There was like a chair that my grandmother would sit in, and my grandfather, I remember he brought me one year, I think it was 10 $1 bills in succession, the serial numbers, and they were crisp, and they were taped together with red tape, each at the ends of each $1 bill. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And what else did we? But yeah, then my uncles, they would be all raucous, drinking their coffee. And we didn't have we would have there would be like I guess, well, maybe then for that many people, maybe there were maybe two bottles of wine, but that's it. I mean, it was almost nobody drank, and those that didn't consume much. So it might be like a glass. What were they drinking otherwise? Did they have soft drinks? I don't even know. I know they had the guys had coffee. Vase of Flowers says, the incident in question was me finding chocolate pre-Christmas and putting places of Legos inside. And my lovely grandmother opened it, sitting next to me on Christmas morning. Oh, boy. Wow. So you took the chocolates out? That's hilarious. Michael is here. Great to see you. And the troublemakers showing up. Merry Promethean Christmas and good Promethean Yule to you, troublemaker. Me not. I hope you have a good Christmas. Valkyrie is here. Lunder says, getting pool toys. Then we'd immediately jump into the pool and play with the family. Because, it's usually 113 Fahrenheit around Christmas time. Wow. And isn't that interesting to think about that? For all of our brothers and sisters in the Southern Hemisphere, Christmas is a warm affair. And so getting pool toys for Christmas. Wow. That's something I've never even contemplated what that would be like. and then heading out into the water. In the Northern Hemisphere, that'd be death. That's what we call death. That's what we call suicide. Yes. Late December, in this part of the country, at least, heading outside and jumping in the water, that's called suicide. Yes, I remember. And I remember, it's so strange the things you remember when you're a child. You really begin thinking about these things. I can remember things I didn't get that I wanted. Who can remember something that they really wanted that they never got? And if so, share that in the live chat. I wanted there was this go-kart that had a fiberglass body that looked identical like a Lamborghini Countach. No joke. I don't know where I guess I saw them in a catalog or something. And there was no way that my family could afford anything like that. I mean, nowhere close. But of course, I was just immediately like in love with this super sport. I'd already fallen in love with Lamborghinis. And so here was a go-kart that you got inside of like it was the real car, perfectly sized for kids. And I was like, I want this so bad. But it was always funny, though, because I guess it was maybe 2 years, maybe I wanted it. But it wasn't until after my joy of everything else that I would then recollect that, oh boy, I asked for that. I begged for that Lamborghini go-kart. Never happened. But it didn't, I guess I was not happy, of course, about it. But then when I got, how old was I? Let's see what you all are saying. Michael said, when I was a kid, bikes were the thing to get at Christmas. Franklin said he wanted a Hulk game and Simpsons Hit and Run on PS2. So are these gifts that you didn't get, you wanted and you didn't get? Franklin said he wanted a unicycle. How many people know that I can ride a unicycle? How is that for a content and thought leader in the white sympathetic sphere? Valkyrie says, we just lit our 4 candles for Yule. Is this the 4th candle, or are there 4 individual candles that you're talking about lighting? Merry Christmas, Victorian time traveler. Good dreams to you tonight, Promethean brother. Artificer said Lincoln logs. That's what you asked for and did not get? Or are you saying you got these things? Michael asked for a yo-yo. Did you not get the yo-yo? Did they think you were going to hurt yourself? Who got a rifle that they didn't shoot their eye out with? Face of Flower says, unicycles fascinate me. Simon says he can't imagine Jason riding a unicycle. Oh, I can, though. Maybe I should get that. I guess it's been a long time. But I've always just assumed that like a bicycle, once you learn, you can just, doesn't go anywhere. So it might be it's a little bit more challenging. But no, I don't even think so. I feel like I could just hop right back on one. But I have no idea where I would get one. And I don't have the money for one. Maybe during the spring and summer, if there are yard sales and I see one, I will ask if I could just hop up on it, maybe to try it out, and then get a video of me on it to share. And then, of course, I'll have to turn to the people and say, I'm sorry, this is just not up to my unicycling standards. Take it back. But yeah, I could juggle and ride a unicycle. But it was always fun. And I could do a couple little tricks on the unicycle. They weren't good. Caleb says he got a cap gun. Oh, those were beasts back in the day. Man, weren't they? Cap guns were the best because when they go off, it smells like a real gun. Brent Dangerous here. Great to see you, brother. He said he wanted a Green Machine by Big Wheel. Did you get those or did you get it or no? Oh, and a sit-in spin. Oh my gosh. I would never get on a sit-in spin, my friend. I would be sick for weeks. He didn't get them. Oh, Brent was denied. Simon says he could imagine me driving a Lamborghini. I have driven them. The real thing on racetracks. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so Valkyrie says it's 12 candles for 12 days. So this is the fourth one for the fourth day of Yule. Thank you for the clarification. Mystic Knight says, Merry Christmas, my lovely Prometheans, champions of Western kind. Indeed, that's what we are. We are champions of Western kind. And Merry Christmas to you and good Yule. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. All right. Lunder says that, and Down Under, Lunder from Down Under says they have their own Jingle Bells song. I'll have to look that up. Escape is with us. He says, Merry Extra White Christmas. An extra pristine white Christmas. I think, is there another version as well of Jingle Bells for some other country, I believe. But, okay. Were there any other questions? Or we'll get to the... Yeah, what do you all have any folks in your life that you're going to have to deal with tomorrow that could be problematic, or somebody you want to bring over? Get those questions together and we'll speak to those shortly. Just in case you do have someone you want to help, or someone you have to contend with at Christmas meal or a Yule get together. Commanders lost today. Uh-oh. That's the formerly known as Redskins. I might have to give them another pep talk. Yes, we're stopping anti-whiteism. I love you, Smoot. No one killed on YouTube, baby. That's so funny. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article. And I guess we're at 7:17 East Coast time. So maybe we will bid our youthful audience adieu. And I will ask them this as they go. Final question for the little ones, and that is this. Why can't penguins fly? Why can't penguins fly? Make sure you bother your mother with this and just keep at it until she's losing her mind in the midst of trying to get ready for the celebration and the people or the trap. Maybe you're going someplace and she's trying to get ready for that. Make sure you just keep going at your mom. Why can't penguins fly? Because they're not tall enough to be pilots. Your mother will love that punchline. Make sure you share it with her. And you can keep this in mind as we'll use a little bumper to distinguish between family friendly and what we will be potentially talking about after that point. All right. Promethean Promulgation says, I have a spare unicycle for you. Now, that's a sentence I never thought I would hear in my life. Honestly, of all the sentences I thought that I might hear in my life, I have a spare unicycle. I'll bring it for you. Okay, yeah, cool, man. I will definitely hop up on that. A spare one. How many unicycles do you have? If you have unicycles, then you obviously are able to ride. So we could do like a thing. We could go riding around on like a trail and we could get video of us and we could show folks how it's done. Michael says, gotta go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. And we'll start off. I hope the children are out of the room. The first thing I want to do is I want to tell you all, you just have the ladies out there. You absolutely have to stop asking for a man who is brilliant, hardworking, good looking, has a chiseled body, and is amazing in bed, because I'm getting a little tired of Santa trying to abduct me. You're going to have to knock it off, ladies. I get it, but you're going to have to reel that one in a little bit. I mean, the jolly old red suited guy, every time I turn around, he's trying to wrap me up with a rag full of chloroform. And each time it gets harder to fight him off. I don't know. I think he's been working out. Promethean Promulgation says he bid on 2 different unicycles and didn't think he would get either one, and then ended up getting both of them. Likely story, my friend. We all know the truth of it. Promethean Promulgation had to secretly insert himself into a very rare band of gypsies in Mississippi. And they traveled around the southeast of the country, playing with poisonous snakes for audiences that would throw coins at them. He ended up in a shipping container on an ocean liner, sailed down through the Caribbean, where he had to do some unspeakable things, like eat some of the native food there, and then was a stowaway on a multimillionaire's super yacht that sailed into South America, points unknown. A lot of jungles, some wild monkeys in this story, and even some African animals. We don't even know how that ended up happening. But he was able to find his way across a lake to an isolated island where a codger of codgers dwelt. And he there had the 2 unicycles in question that, after Promethean Promulgation answered a series of riddles correctly, demonstrating his intelligence, the codger paid him with. And that's how he obtained the 2 unicycles. I will gladly ride with you, my friend. That gives a whole new meaning to let's ride. Up on the unicycle. That's like so anticlimactic. Let's ride. Simon says, we all congregate at my mother's for Christmas lunch. That's wonderful. Everybody present is aware of going free. Magnificent. And the plight of white people. So it's a happy event, I'm pleased to say. Well, that's really fantastic. Don't be afraid of, if you have if you have a family member who might be able to hear what you're saying about white well-being to folks, don't be afraid to mention white well-being to somebody you're talking to that these people might hear. They won't want to be the villain in what you're talking about. So it's entirely possible that they might just try to ignore Edamon 3. Great to see you. Merry Christmas. That they might just try to ignore the conversation altogether. But be ready for when one of these contentious anti-white relatives or family members who's over for the meal, be ready for them to potentially try to categorize you as a white supremacist, name them type, neo-Nazi or whatever it is, and to go after them. You know how to go after them. Only anti-whites say something like that. Only anti-whites deny white people the right to defend ourselves and put an end to our victimization. What do you have wrong? Or what do you object to? What do you see as wrong in white people putting an end to our victimization? So there are a lot of different ways that you can address these things with family members. And this is where the battles actually take place. This is where the war is actually won or lost, is in these conversations. Some of those conversations will be in love. Some of those conversations will be difficult. But this is where we lost Western civilization. You realize that, right? It wasn't some grand invasion that we fought, like on horseback with banners snapping in the wind and shields held high. That's not where the West was lost. It was lost at Christmas dinner. It was lost at Thanksgiving dinner. It was lost. What is this thing? It was lost when, maybe if I change this, maybe that'll help. It was lost in all of these get-togethers when white people who had been infected with anti-white ideas came into these environments and with this moral self-righteousness stood up and said, "You all are despicable." That's where we lost. So you can puff your chest up like these. I know the folks here won't do it. But elsewhere, I've got 3 decades of having enough, had it up to here, with these people puffing their chests up about, it's got to be violent. No, you're just dumb. You're just dumb. And you're just giving an excuse to stay out of the fight where the fight exists. That's the problem. You're just giving an excuse because you're a coward. You're just giving an excuse because you're dumb. That's the bottom line. So you need to make these people, if there are anti-whites that are present, you need to make them feel uncomfortable to some degree, right? If it's somebody you really care about, make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. If it's somebody you really don't like, make them feel a lot uncomfortable. Say right in front of them, if you know they're anti-white, say, the most disgusting thing today is anti-whiteism, the victimization of white people. Look at what they're doing to white children on the basis of the way they're born. Make those people feel uncomfortable. That's what they've done to us. That's what you feel in our homes. That's what these people who talk about that when the day comes, we're going to just slaughter them or whatever. That's where they keep their mouths shut and they feel very uncomfortable and they go and grumble under their breaths. That's why we lost. So let's win these contests. Okay, I'm going to ask a question. Who votes for real Christmas tree or artificial Christmas tree? Write real in the live chat if that's what you like. Write artificial in the live chat if that's what you like. And if you want to share pros and cons, I would like to see. I have actually never had a real Christmas tree. Artificial trees were always so easy. They were there, so I didn't have to go anywhere for them. Paid for them, once. Put them up in minutes. and then easy to put away as well. No mess, no fuss. On the negative side, they don't have the smell that a real pine tree has. That doesn't have the sort of the authentic feel. Although artificial trees nowadays, there's like that, what's that company, Balsam or something? And they look real. It's amazing. But real or artificial, man has spelled out Hi Kevin and Christmas lights for 20 years to honor his neighbors. Lunder says his favorite is a Christmas tree with green screen branches overlaid with an artificial Christmas tree. All right. Mine too. That's really easy to clean up after. Oh, Caleb says sister has a white Christmas tree. I have relatives who have white Christmas trees. It's beautiful. It's something different, and it's really pretty. Has anybody seen those inverted Christmas trees? What is that supposed to be? Is that like satanic or something? What are they doing with inverted Christmas trees? All right, let's read about this guy. We're going to keep rolling. Let me just make sure. Still having technical difficulties on my end. I'm glad it's coming through, though, for you all. I hope it is. For the last 20 years, Mike Whitmer has had his own Christmas tradition that he has honored every year since he found out his 11-year-old neighbor was sick. Kevin, in the fall of 2002, was diagnosed with cancer. And though he went into remission, the illness eventually came back far more aggressively, taking his life in 2010. But the tradition lived on. Every winter, Mike Whitmer spells out Hi Kevin with his Christmas lights to honor his late neighbor. This year, on the 20th anniversary of the tradition, Whitmer decided to share with the world the history of his tradition and told Kevin's story about what happened after his diagnosis in 2002. On December 23rd, the doctors told him he'd be well enough to spend Christmas at home. He wrote in a Facebook post, "After hearing this wonderful news, I told his parents to swing through my court on their way home." Oh, God. Where you see merry and bright in this year's display, I wrote, "Get well, Kevin." Oh my gosh. Let me put this up on the screen. And there it is. I don't know how well you can see it. This is saying now, "Hi, Kevin." Whitmer says that Kevin and his family loved the sign, and that after reading it, Kevin asked his mother, "Do you think Mr. Whitmer will put my name in lights every year?" And so the tradition was born. Isn't that amazing? Take a look at this guy and his wife. Little boy wants to know, will he put my name up there every year? And this guy says to that, for the rest of my life. I painted Hi Kevin on a scrap piece of wood, and each year I would put it in a different spot in my display. So it was a Where's Waldo kind of a game on his first visit each year, he explained. Whitmer said that when Kevin's cancer went into remission, the game continued. The tradition continued to live on, and Kevin and his family would drop by every year to see where he would place the sign next. One year he said that he had a working Ferris wheel up for decoration and placed the high on the seat of one pod and Kevin on another, so it wouldn't always be visible. This year the family pulls up and he didn't see his name. I was told he got out of the car and was like, "Hey." Whitmore explains. About that time, the Ferris wheel came back around and he saw his name. He smiled and got back into the family's car. Kevin had just finished up his freshman year of college at the University of Maryland when he came home and found out his cancer had returned and was much more aggressive this time around. His parents asked me to speak at his funeral. I talked about my special connection and how much I enjoyed putting Kevin's name in my light display. I told everyone to come by that year, and the Hi Kevin would be bigger so that he could see it from heaven. Even now, Whitmer has continued to put Kevin's name in his display every year and shared a separate, smaller story about someone he knew who had a loved one named Kevin. A few years back, an old high school friend reached out to me and asked me about the Hi Kevin. I told him the above story and he proceeded to tell me that he had a loved one named Kevin that was killed by a drunk driver, and asked if it would be okay if he and his family took my Hi Kevin to be a saying hi to their Kevin. Of course, I said yes. Whitmore's story is one that he hoped would help others feel good, and wrote that, quote, sometimes it's the smallest gestures that end up meaning the most. God bless this man. God bless this man. That's beautiful. What a great story. And let's give a big thank you to Kate for getting these stories for me. She went out and found them, and I really appreciate it. These are some great stories to share with people. All right. How about another joke? How about an adult? What do Christmas decorations and Jeffrey Epstein have in common? They don't hang themselves. Fit and healthy at any age. It's here. Great to see you. He says, Merry Christmas, folk of the West. Big Merry Christmas to you, brother. I got to give you all a little bit more time because I'm slightly ahead of you. Lunder says, in all seriousness, all our Christmas trees are artificial. Those pine trees aren't native here. Ardent White is here. Merry Christmas and good Yule to you. Promethean Merry Christmas and Promethean Yule. So there are no evergreens at all? They don't ship them in? Oh, I mean, the country is now full of rabbits because they weren't native there. I mean, I think it probably wouldn't hurt to bring in some pine trees, like spruces and things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you hear about the dyslexic Satanist? Sold his soul to Santa. All right. What do we have in the mailbag? What do we have in the mailbag? But we have this. I can't show you. It's a picture. It's the Christmas card of a good friend, Johnny Reb, from down in Texas. And there's Mrs. Johnny Reb and their beautiful children. The whole family's here. God, they're looking good. Handsome bunch. And thank you so much for this Christmas card. And I will definitely be coming back down that way. And we had so much fun. That's where we were on that dune buggy. That was epic. So thank you so much. And looking forward to seeing your family again. And then we've got this. Get your raucous emojis ready. 1, Biospirit of the West has sent a Christmas card. It's gorgeous. It really is very pretty. Look at that. Beautiful. You know, this is one of the reasons why cardinals look so beautiful. Is the male is very profoundly red, and in the winter, even when there's no snow, but it's particularly magnetic when there is a snowfall. These just poignantly red male cardinals stand out. It's like a painting everywhere you look when they're around. So you want to be sure to have their seed and a source of water for them. And in the wintertime, it should be a heated source or it'll just freeze over. Rejoice in the spirit of Christmas, which is peace, the miracle of Christmas, which is hope, and the love of Christmas, and the heart of Christmas, which is love. A gift for white well-being. This beautiful handwriting, $100. 100 white well-being dollars. Let's get out some raucous emojis, some 07s. How about some swashbuckling as well, my friends? Let's get out those swashbucklers. I ended up with 2 very pretty cards. Put them both up over there. Thank you so much. 07s, 100 white well-being dollars. I really appreciate that, brother, very much. That's our mailbag for today. And we have some announcements. I want to thank, I hope he's still with us, JK160, because he was the one who came up with the idea that I read Night Before Christmas, which I then ended up making into a video, which people can share and read to y'all and whoever might have had their children with them. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, JK160. And I also want to mention again in the announcements that I am able, for some unknown reason, a big thank you to Fornull for letting me know this, that I am able to receive financial gifts over there on DLive again. And it looks like JK160 has financially gifted over there the 2 diamonds today. And so thank you so very much. Doc Holiday is over there on DLive, says, Merry Christmas. No white guilt here. Says white guilt is a severely debilitating disease. It is indeed, brother. So thank you. All right. What do you call a hooker at Christmas? A hooker at Christmas. Thank you all for celebrating. A prostitute. She is a prostitute. If there is anybody who wants to call in, let me know on Skype. We'll take a few calls before we get out of here. And we're going to read a couple of comments that I know we have up as well. The answer is because the snow tickles their balls. The snow tickles their balls. That's the answer. Edamon 3 over here in the question widget, Tall Kevin widget on Entropy says, I think a while back you were talking about how we need to make sure our enemies don't rewrite history. Our victimizers don't rewrite history. What part of our history do you think are under the greatest threat of being rewritten? Well, the ones taking place. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, looks like Dandy West. Did you write here only on the chat on entropy? Let me expand that and see if I can see. I didn't even see this. The history we're making. So in other words, when let's just say, for example, we in this coming year have a get together or protest somewhere, and we protest maybe like Irish Christ was talking about anti-white hiring practices. The anti-whites are going to try to tell the history of what happened there, especially if something objectionable or scary or whatever it might be that it were to happen. What we need to do is we need to have many of us tell that history in music, in videos of what took place, streams, in short stories, in poems of what took place, in like a picture show of what took place, so that this material is there for us and it fills all of our needs for information. Then we don't have to look to anti-whites. There's a whole like satisfied cultural milieu, if you will, that people who are going free and those who are thinking about being white positive or white sympathetic or whatever, they can go into that environment and get the information of that tale in as many ways as a person might desire, satisfying the need so that they don't go elsewhere to get the information. And the reason why is because we're building our story where we're the hero. We don't, and this is, I just want to make sure of a distinction here. We don't try to retell. We don't engage in historical revisionism, because that is an idea that's already, those are ideas that are already where? They're already in the minds of millions of our brothers and sisters. And every brother and sister out there knows that even if God himself could come down before him or her and say, look, this is what really happened, that person would know no one else knows that. And so earlier I was talking about how for things to be a curative contagion, they have to be wanted. It's a pulling, not a pushing. No one wants to know something that everyone else will condemn them for. I mean, cut that out and share that everywhere. No one wants to know something that everyone else will condemn them for. That's why historical revisionism doesn't work. That's why doom documenting, doom dissecting specifically, saying it's this whole other group of people. People don't want to know that. They don't want to know what will make them be seen as immoral and monstrous. So that's why there isn't any pulling from the population for that information. Does that make sense? Hyperborean Dream says, brilliant. Thank you very much for that. People do not want to know. So when it comes to, for example, I mean, we had like all the issues with the naming people. You have really two types of folks out there. Well, you could say three, but the two I'm talking about right now are the ones who don't want to know because everybody will hate them and think they're monsters for what you're telling them. So they're not going to want to repeat it. So they don't want to know it. And then I guess you'll have the ones too who will take the information and not care. Those are like the two main people that you're going to find out of our brothers and sisters in the world. They're either going to say, I don't want to know that because people will see me as immoral and monstrous and disgusting. And the other one who says, yeah, they control a lot of things and who cares? That's the vast majority of our brothers and sisters. We needed, and this is what I created and adopted from others who had, they figured out a piece here or a piece there. And so since I was on this mission, I was like, okay, we need that piece. We need this piece. And then when there weren't other pieces, I created pieces. We needed a method that people wanted to adopt because we were not going to be there. So this idea, we were not going to be in, when I say there, in every one of these conversations, in every one of these interactions. We're not going to be there. So it doesn't matter how sophisticated or academic or erudite the first communicating of that message, whatever that message is, X, because then it goes into an individual who then has to take that to someone else, to many others in their interactions. And whatever festooned the sharing of that information before is now no longer there. So, for example, the people who love Dirty Fuentes, they're enamored that he looks like this little functionary, bureaucrat in the government, and he's inoffensive in his demeanor and posture and stature, certainly. But he delivers this whatever information authoritatively, etc. They then take that information and with a certain look and etc. And he's adept at quipping and then being what I call a convenient Catholic, throwing up this shield of, oh, I'm just a Catholic, when he says things that are really flippant and irresponsible and ugly or whatever, or even truthful, but distasteful to the population. And it doesn't need, things that are distasteful to the population don't need to be made tasteful for us to recapture our destiny. That is a total recipe for failure. I mean, imagining that you'd have to make the distasteful tasteful. So you only need about 10,000 years to overcome all of it, right? From word of mouth, person to person, which is the only way we can communicate messages. We don't get to control the regime's media, right? So then what happens is they receive this info, festooned, as I say, from like a Dirty Fuentes, and then they go out to talk to somebody else. And now they're just sharing the raw info. And that person listening is, in almost 100% of cases, one of two types. Either I don't want to know it because of how immoral and ugly everybody will think I am. And the other one who will say, yeah, and I don't care. So what we needed was something that the majority of our brothers and sisters hearing it would say, give that to me. I want to know that. And would not have to have me or somebody more erudite like a Jared Taylor or something like that at every one of these conversations. And as you can see with your own application and study of the Go Free method, you can see how you really say, oh, I want that. I really want that. And then when you share, you can see on people's faces how they suddenly like, yes, that, I want that. I'll take that with me. Yep, I'll take that with me. Then they'll be repeating. Why? Because it had to serve the selfish interests of the individual. Just like that one part of capitalism, and I'm not endorsing or speaking ill of capitalism, either in its application or in theory or whatever it might be. The element there is that there is a selfish satisfaction that benefits the whole. That's what we needed with what we shared, because we can only speak peer-to-peer, either in person or on the internet. So that's what we created. Damn, we're smart. Thanks for the question. Danny Westman says, no white guild. And he also says, frosted pre-lit artificial trees are my preferred Christmas aesthetic. Yes, I've seen those. I've been at houses, and they are quite lovely. Frosted trees and pre-lit. I mean, you can't go wrong with that, right? The thing's done when you put it up, ready to roll. I've had pre-lit as well. Don't even need just string lights. I am having that window open. You know, it's 15 degrees outside. And so all of the moisture in the air has been consumed, and now I am becoming desiccated. Oh my God. The answer was because the snow tickles their balls. And the question is, why do elves laugh when they run? I bet y'all thought I wasn't going to come back to that. Jerome is here with us. Great to see you, good brother. Big salute to you. And I see Ivan, Lisa. Hello, Merry Christmas to you. Great to see everybody. Wing It Productions laughing at Dirty Fuentes. Yeah, I mean, why isn't everybody? I come up with all these silly names, and then I adopt them from bright people who in our white positive sphere. The white positive going free community is. If you took the IQs of everybody in the going free community, added them together, and we're only a few thousand strong, and then put that up against the IQ of the entire white sympathetic sphere put together, we would dwarf them. So yeah, we've got this great name, Dirty Fuentes. I don't know how this hasn't gotten started and stuck. You can, if you don't know, since the kids are out of the room, Dirty Sanchez. That's another as, so look that up if you're not. It's very gross. So Dirty Fuentes is perfect. How do you make, and this is important for this time of year, how do you make it so no one gets offended at the Christmas song, Baby, It's Cold Outside? How do you make it so that no one gets offended at the Christmas song, Baby, It's Cold Outside? You rebrand it as a rap song and name it, Yo, Bitch, It's Freezing. You know that's true. They would be playing that everywhere. Why? Because society is anti-white. And that is totally an affront to our projection. Yo, bitch, it's freezing. You're not going anywhere because XYZ. Video is lagging, says Franklin. Core people, Franklin's right. The really core people are in the hundreds. You're right. Let me see. I think I have everything here that can be freed up. Oh no, it looks like it's doing better now. At least a little better, not a lot. Caleb says, so true, Jason. What do you call a Christmas sex toy drive? Toys for Thoughts. Toys for Thoughts. Let's see about a couple of these comments. We have Victorian Time Traveler said people have this idea of the 1950s as being a horrible time for women, and it absolutely comes from television and movies. These people have clearly never spoken with an old lady because they almost never have anything bad to say about their lives during that time. That's very true. I remember seeing video of women in America and in the UK back in, what was it, like the 70s or maybe late 60s, 70s. They were being asked, this is like video of women on the street. They were being asked, like, what do you think of your home life and with a man in charge and isn't it awful? And it was like woman after woman said, no, women shouldn't be doing X and or Y. And it was just, yeah, he's absolutely right. Helios Abbott makes a really great verbiage here out of MAGA, the acronym. Make anti-whiteism go away. That's our MAGA, baby. Helios Abbott. Full credit to you, brother. Make anti-whiteism go away. MAGA. Winged Production says, would you encourage folks to stay away from Black Pill's work? Oh, the actual guy called Black Pill. Well, I mean, it depends. And what is your disposition? Mine is, and where do you want to put your time? What do you get out of? For example, you have to ask yourself these questions. What do you get out of looking at doom documenting? Do you feel better? Do you feel energized? Is it preventing you from, or protecting you from, enabling you to protect yourself or your family? What good is it to you? I mean, the guy is not a bad guy at all. And I know he's making his living, or making the money he's making off of producing that material. And he has good production value. But I think, speaking just to and for the people who are going free, you really have to ask yourself, what value is it to spend a minute dwelling on the power that the anti-whites wield? If you've committed yourself to being the hero in our story and to making changes in the world that you are actually able to implement. So in other words, you're not prematuring in your pants. You're saying, I'm able to do X, Y, Z, and I can do it here in my life. I can make this happen. I can make advances. Then what real value is looking at doom documenting to you? I have seen, it feels like, endless examples over nearly 3 decades of people who have just sunk into abject misery with the doom documenting. And it becomes like a sick addiction. Now, if you feel like you are, I don't know, like calcified enough or hard enough to every now and again enjoy, I guess, I wouldn't call it enjoyment, a good session of doom documenting. But I can tell you, especially if you're a woman, for me, I'm not looking at it at all. I have no interest whatsoever. It doesn't benefit me. It pours ice cold water on the fire of my desire to do something for us. And when it comes to white women, it's even worse, because there's a genetic urge in women, I believe. I could be wrong. But women, look into it, look into yourself. That when they see an overwhelming, what they perceive, and this is a matter of perception, this overwhelming domination by anti-whites, there is this internal push to surrender and submit, to survive, to pass on her genes. And remember that the genes of all of the women that are alive today got here to us by being the breeding partner of the victors, right? Women didn't go out and conquer another tribe and then get to pass their genes on. Either they were part of the tribe that was conquering, and then their genes were being passed on because they had a secure environment, or their tribe was conquered and they submitted to the victors. That's what's baked into the cake. And so if you're a woman and you're looking at this pessimistic doom documenting, ain't it bad, you'll experience, per my conversations with women, and of course it's not going to be all women, but you'll experience this great dread, this great fear and this great desire to hide and not have your opinion, not have that's at variance with this great power, not have that opinion known. You'll feel this great desire to silence the people around you if they have opinions at variance. And every man with that power, and every man has experienced that he can't even have like a conversation at normal room volume in public where he's saying something at variance, even something moral practically, with a woman present, because she'll immediately she'll start like getting this, oh my God, and and every kind of thing, every kind of message that she can send to him. No, you got to quiet down. People will find out. Because her genetics are saying, if they find out, I won't be able to pass my genes on. So I would say my recommendation is if you're a guy, you really consider whether or not it's going to benefit you at all. And if you're a woman, consider it twice whether or not it's going to benefit you at all. That stuff. And if you have this desire, if you have this fear, and there's this doom documenting and sort of illness, addiction that the prepping people will make use of to get you coming back and giving them money. And that is, you get wedded to this idea that there is something they're going to share that you need to know. And the need to know is because maybe if you know it, you'll be able to sidestep it. But no, you can't sidestep it. And nothing being shared is going to come to, how can I phrase this? Is going to come to fruition in a way that you could have made use of that information for any sort of benefit. And reflect on the fact that before, how many years have you been alive? Maybe you're a 50-year-old and you just started looking at this sort of doom documenting garbage. For all those years, there were people doom documenting and addicted to this need to know the danger and the horror, and nothing ever happened to you, right? So I don't really see it as a benefit. And I don't want to say, though, the guy's making his living, or whatever amount of his living this is. But I don't consume any of it. Yeah, I just think it's totally unhealthy. Winged Production says fantastic points. Thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, bottom line is, what are you living? What are you going to live for? You're going to make a decision of what you're going to live for in this world. Is it going to be for the glory of yourself and our people? Or is it going to be living for a cold, dark, hollow, frightened existence? Artificer saying, Alex Jones, Red Ice, all of it. I guess you all were you saying like the different places where it's just nothing but doom documenting? Yeah, just a lot of doom documenting out there. Because when you make content, it's easy to get people addicted to that. Hordes of people addicted to that. It's much more difficult to maintain positive attitude and can-do spirit. That takes energy. You got to keep like ginning it up. And then, some people will become engines of that. Like I try to be for a lot of people, and a lot of you have become engines of that. But you end up having, it's like the freight train, and you stack cars on, and it's like each one's another person, and you're pulling them along with your energy to keep up everybody's can-do spirit. So especially if you're being pulled along with a can-do spirit and energy and excitement, really going and looking at something that's going to essentially decouple you from that is unwise. You can look at the greatest case, I think, against consuming doom documentation, doom dissection, and doom divination, but particularly documenting and divining against it. The greatest argument is the Frenchman who gave Fuentes how many? $250,000, $500,000, and then killed himself. So he had been watching Fuentes and I think two others, but the two others were far less. He gave them tiny sums of money compared to Fuentes, Dirty Fuentes. He had been watching him just doom document night after night, 5 days a week of it. And this guy decided, this French nationalist decided it's not worth living. We can't win. Look at how powerful they are. So he just took a giant shit ton of money, gave it to Fuentes so that he could keep doom documenting us. And now we all have to live with that, his wealth as a millionaire. And that's where the vast majority of it came from, or at least half of it. And then killed himself. So is that what you want? Is that what you want your legacy to be? Does anybody here have a story of a Christmas shopping fail? Did anybody get into a fight while shopping, or get at least into a shouting match or something close to that? And if you don't like that question, how about this one? If you had to gain 10 pounds, what would you eat at Christmas to begin that process? If you had to gain 10 pounds, I don't know why you would have to. Maybe you're anorexic. Put on some weight, for God's sake. Yeah, and if you're girls, don't get like super skinny. I don't know anybody who actually likes that, or any normal guys who like that. All right, we have Laughing Chi-Chi writes this. Jason, you remind me of that part of a giant ship that has a fierce icebreaker on its front, crushing its way forward through massive depths of ice. You are seen and heard, perhaps not always acknowledged. Don't ever let that stop you. Well, thank you so. I really appreciate that. Laughing Chi-Chi. Laughing Chi-Chi. $500,000. Yeah, that's right. Azimuth Clark pointing out the Frenchman gave Fuentes $500,000. And then another guy named Helicopter Money gave Fuentes $1 million. Azimuth Clark says he believes. I did not hear about the helicopter money. The guy was named Helicopter or Helicopter Money. Yes, Azimuth Clark says curvy girls. Now, here's the thing. If you are a girl without very many curves, no big deal. You can make that work for you, all right? You could, if you, maybe you're inclined to be able to add some curves, do that if you want to add some curves. But you can make that work for you too. But yes, curves get lots of smiley faces with hearts. A lot of girls out there, they think they don't like their hips. They don't like my hips, or whatever. And real guys are like, what are you talking about? Stop looking at these magazines where, they have set up as the ideal for a woman to be like a 10-year-old boy. No, real guys don't want that. We don't want our women to look like 10-year-old boys, especially. And then they do the haircut like a 10-year-old boy. What in the world then? You could not be more objectionable in your looks. To have the body of a 10-year-old boy and then get the haircut of a 10-year-old boy. And then you know what? You have a bunch of girls. This is what happens with girls all the time. They all go, oh, I love your little 10-year-old boy haircut. No, they don't. Or maybe they do, but we don't. Your husband doesn't. If he says, oh, that looks good. No. Unless it's possible you might be one of like the rare ones that it works on. I have seen that, but that's rare. Fit and Healthy at Any Age, who's with us tonight, writes, the current genetic bottleneck our people are experiencing is no joke. Jason is right, though. This community attracts the best and the brightest. Those that survive the upcoming hardship must remain healthy, fit, and free of all negative pathogens, mental or otherwise. Brilliantly said by one of our brilliant community champion leaders. Do we have any others here? All right, how about this one? A police officer on horseback stops at a traffic light on Christmas morning. And next to him is a little girl on her brand new bicycle. The cop tells the young girl, quote, "You have a nice bike, sweetheart. Did Santa bring you that?" "Yes, he did," she sweetly replied. The cop says with a smile on his face, "So, tell Santa to put a tail light on that bike next year." And then he hands her a $20 ticket. She said to the police officer as he begins to ride away, "By the way, you have a nice horse. Did Santa bring that to you?" The cop, playing along, says he certainly did. And the little girl responds by saying, "Well, next year, tell Santa the dick goes under the horse." That's funny. All right. We have Ardent White here, comment from Ardent White. And she's with us right now, or she was. Ardent White, she writes here, "I've finally been able to catch up on this stream. Not this one, but another one. I'm usually on and off and in and out of the live chat during streams because it's between crazy and bedtime for the children. And there's a lot going on. Tomorrow, we find out if we're having a little man or woman of the West. Maybe she knows by now. Did she say?" Either way, they'll be going free. In regards to what was brought up about marriage and monogamy during calls, so is the idea that white men are not monogamous and MP. Yes, that is an MP. This is something I remember being told a lot growing up. And based on most of my observations, it seemed to be true. And that's a phenomenon that is called the Bader-Meinhof, or the frequency illusion. So when you're told to look for something, you begin spotting it, whereas before you wouldn't have noticed it, or you would have noticed it in its proper proportion. So it's a psychological trick anti-whites play on us, and they crush us because we didn't have a psychological defense for it until we had going free. I was very discouraged by the idea as a young woman, thinking it doesn't matter how good you are to a man, he is always going to desire different women. You can't fully trust a man if he's only going to want you. I remember being taught that men were genetically predisposed to want to plant their seed in everything, and that seemed to make sense. I would actually laugh at men who would call me pretty or try to compliment me, like, "Yeah, okay, bud, you say that to all the girls." Even when I met my husband, I was very standoffish to his attempts to woo me, thinking, "Oh, geez, I can't imagine how many women he's recited this to or bought that for." I also made a few comments of that nature at the beginning of our relationship, and he reassured me by telling me, 50 years from now, you'll see that I'm not lying. I really want you and only you. I loved that bit shared by Axis Mundi during his call. It was very encouraging and relieving. It reminded me so much of my own husband and marriage and made me realize that maybe this idea that, quote, men are not monogamous is an MP deliberately inserted into the minds of our people. I noticed a lot of non-white men take multiple wives as a normal way of life. Perhaps that was something to do with a difference in our biospirit instinct. Very well written, dear sister. And yeah, it is not normal for a white man and you can see this in our history, as Axis Mundi pointing out, it was normal for us to be monogamous, to invest in the offspring we produced. And there are many different theories that you can entertain or not. I mean, just bottom line is that, in my opinion, it is biospiritual. It's instinctual. Now, men will, and women should not expect that men will not notice women. Now, noticing good-looking women is obviously different than catcalling them or trying to talk to them for the purpose of getting a date or anything like that. But this desire to find a woman so that we can pass on our genes, this wide sort of wide net, it's the reason why there are men are attracted to so many different looks of women. Trust me, you would not want men to be as narrowly focused on what they find attractive as women are. You can look at the data, you can live it in the real world, that women have this very narrow focus on what they consider attractive. Men have this very wide focus. Why is that? Because men don't get to decide who they get to have sex with. Women do. So men need to be able to be excited by a lot of different looks of women. And you want that to be the case because he chose you. Maybe if he had a narrow focus, it wouldn't have been your type. So, and a sort of side effect of that is that, you know, if a good-looking woman's walking by, I mean, a guy, it's like, it's like, I don't know, it's hard to, Jolly Green Giant wants to like turn our head to look. I mean, that's just, but going after them is different. It's completely different. Trying to get their attention or trying to date, that's totally different. So a woman should not see and the man obviously shouldn't disrespect his woman. Like, I mean, if he sees a good looking woman walking by and he's like, whoa, you know, he should just like internally, you know, just be like, wow. And then just keep going. Don't like make a spectacle and insult your woman or whatever while you're doing. That's pathetic. But women at the same time, if you see his head like come off his shoulders or break his neck that doesn't mean that he's wants to go off and have sex with these women. There's so many just things like ran through my head of ways to define that. That's just genetically how he had to be in order to find you attractive. The difference is in whether or not he hunts for them. And there are dirtbags out there, no doubt. But the vast majority, and this is a big warning to women as well, that do not go after the top 15 to 20% of pretty-faced men. Don't do it. You're just begging 100% to be cheated on. 100, do not do it. The prettiest faced guys, because of what white men have done in Western civilization, we've satisfied all the needs. Everything a woman could want, she can now get. She doesn't need a man to have. And so this focus has gotten narrower and narrower until it lands just on his face. Pretty much. I mean, she can appreciate other things, but it's his face. And again, when we get the data from the dating sites and everything, it bears it out. As a consequence, everywhere this guy goes, one of these guys, he's having women look at him and giving the please come talk to me look. And they will. I mean, just if you date these guys, you're just asking for it. Don't do it. I mean, even if a woman were like a real 10 or a real 9, no joke, legit, I would still advise her, do not date guys in that group. Do not do it, because you are not enough. Your parts are not magic. You might think they are, but every other woman has the same parts. And those parts could be younger. They could just be different. They could be, I mean, with these really pretty guys, they'll even go and have sex with women that are rungs down. And that's one of the things that helps to perpetuate this garbage, just because it's different. So don't do that. You're going to plant yourself in a place where the guy's going to cheat on you. Helios Abbott back again writes here, I missed this live stream regrettably, but thoroughly enjoyed it in replay. It's such a joy and privilege to be part of a community that appreciates and shares celebration of its individual members, whose many victories invigorate and strengthen white well-being for all Western kind. Amen to that. Well said. Helios Abbott is smart, man. And then we have one more here. Irish Christ, who was with us earlier, might still be. He's talking about the Twitter tantrums with Kate in this comment. He says about me and Kate, you guys are really funny and entertaining together. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And she's getting together some more tales from the Twitter side that we will be covering in future episodes. It'll be a heck of a lot of fun. Let me see what you all are saying. Read another joke here. And then again, if there are any calls, if not, we'll just wrap it up, close that window because it's freezing and I've been completely dried out by that frigid air from the North Pole that Santa has brought with him. We'll get to another. I think we got one more joke. Alan says, Merry Christmas, brother. Big Merry Christmas to you too. Artificer says, I listed a bunch above that I dropped in favor of going free. Oh, so there were a bunch of channels, content creators that you were imbibing, that were doomed documenters, and you just got. Do you feel better? Do you not feel infinitely better? That's funny. Azimuth Clark with the curvy girls. He's got the hearts there and the smiley face. Yeah, that can be. Whew. There are a couple things about maybe more than a couple. See, this is the thing. Genetically, my body, my mind, it's like you find a lot of different looks, I guess, attractive. So, I mean, like, I have the ability to be like paralyzed. Like really nice pair of hips, legs, other parts. Can be tough to. Did I tell you all about the time I walked into the pillar? Artificer said, yes, sir. Awesome, man. That is great. Thanks for sharing that with folks. Yeah, it's completely normal to feel depressed, distraught, powerless. That's the worst part, I think, even about taking in doom documentation and doom divination, is the powerlessness. Doom dissection, when you get into who's behind it all, and that becomes a different type of obsession. And then you end up orbiting the groups that you end up thinking are in charge of everything. And it used to be over the years in the white sympathetic sphere, I've met people who were as sick with this sort of orbiting of other groups of people as the naming folks are of jaywalkers. So there were folks who were that sick, thinking it was the Catholics, the Jesuits, and you could just go on and on. They said this is the absolute group. They knew like everything about them, all their names, when they did what, when the secret document was this, when the symbolism was that. And I said to these people, honestly with them, I sat down and I said, because I want to help our people. But as you can see, often they don't want help. It's like a drug addict. Sometimes they want help and then they're ready. They can be helped. Other times they don't want help. But I would sit down and I would say, how does this benefit you? How are you empowered by this? How is this making the world or the outcome any different? The future of what things will be like if this continues. How are you doing anything to benefit? And it's always the same thing as the name them folks. It's always the same thing. Jesuits, same thing. Catholics, same thing. If you just endlessly talk about, it's like watching people that are in a trance. They're like, if you just talk about it endlessly, it will get better and then they won't be able to do. No, you have to say how. There has to be like a schematic. And these claims about how it goes from here to there are preposterous. And then they use God or the gaps every single time. And they know they do. That's why they won't debate it. It's a painful thing. But in the other senses, the other cases, they embrace this frightful powerlessness. And in all of the cases, they're like surrendering their autonomy. They're surrendering control over themselves. They're surrendering their destiny to these individuals, whether there's a real person or an organization out there in the world. But in all cases, it's the fiction of that thing, whether it exists in the world or not, the fiction that exists in their head, the interpretation that exists only in their head, that they have surrendered their agency and everything over to. You can't do anything. It's like when I was on the Hill, I used to get like bonkers with these conservatives and these Republicans talking about using words like we. Why are we doing this? When it would be something radical anti-whites were doing? Why are we having the children learn about? And I would say, we are not doing it at all. Stop owning it. You can't think outside of that. You can say you can. You can say, oh, I know the difference. You can say that right now, but you can't think it. You are thinking that you are responsible. And then when you're asking yourself, why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? Is to say, why am I doing this? When you're not doing it, your brain is like, you're an idiot. I have no clue. I have no clue because I don't even have a recollection of doing it. That's what your brain does. Artificer says, I'm a veteran, so not being able to quote, do anything eats me up. Going free gave a practical IRL path of everyday life. God bless you, man. Absolutely. You have to have something to do. And you learn that in different ways in life. But one of the places you can learn it is in the military. You got to say, I got to put one foot here and one foot there and make progress. For Christmas, a man decides to get his new girlfriend a pair of gloves. They've only been dating for 3 weeks, though. So it seems like gloves will be the perfect gift. Not too romantic, not romantic, but not overly romantic, personal, but not overly personal. He asks the girlfriend's younger sister to accompany him to the store so she can choose a pair for him so he'll know he'll have the right ones. They go to the mall, and the sister shows the guy a pair of white gloves, which he then purchases. The sister goes out while they are still together. She goes out and she buys a pair of panties for herself. However, the clerk mixes the parcels during the wrapping process. As a result, the sister receives the gloves, while the guy received a gift box containing panties. Without checking, the guy rushes the gift to his new sweetheart, but only after drafting this loving and helpful note to accompany it. Quote, "I chose these because I notice you are not in the habit of wearing any when we go out in the evening. If it had not been for your sister, I would have chosen the long ones with the buttons, but she wears the short ones that are easier to remove." Oh, I bet that went over well. A Christmas gift gone bad. Robert Adams says that the ATF has been stripped of power. That's a curious. I'll have to look into that later. Yeah, could you imagine? She reads this. "I chose these because I notice you're not in the habit of wearing any when we go out in the evening, panties. And if it hadn't been for her sister, he would have chosen these longer ones with buttons on it. But because she wears the short ones that are easy to remove, he got her that pair." Wow, he's bold. He is, but she'd have to think that is one bold SOB. Get me that gift. All right. Looks like we are blank here. Simon says, "Great story, Jason." Well, it is a most merry Promethean, merry Christmas Eve to you all. A Promethean good Yule to you all. I hope I've been helpful in some ways this evening, and I hope you're going to be off to wonderful festivities either tonight or tomorrow, and that while you're with your family, you will do your best to be white positive. And if you get the opportunity, if you get the opportunity to pray, and you're going to pray for the group, or maybe offer to pray for the group, include a prayer for white people who are suffering under anti-whiteism. Children, elderly, whatever. You are the one in that relationship with those folks. You are the one that has the love. You are the moral actor in that scenario. So act like it. And I think we'll go out on RC the Realist song one more time. Merry, Merry Christmas. Good Yule. And I look forward to seeing you all again next Sunday. I love you all. Let's go free.
On the ground, snow and our hearts aglow. We're all thankful for another year on the go. The days are getting short and the nights are cold. I wanna celebrate with all of my folks. So go and put up that mistletoe, 'cause we need more West babies, ladies, you should know. Gonna throw some red up on the green tree. So glad that I have my family with me. It's time for us to come together, 'cause no matter what faith you are, we gotta keep our traditions forever. So this Christmas, we'll gather around the Yule log, and this Christmas, we'll make a place play for those passed on. And this Christmas will apply ancestral rule, 'cause it's Christmas. It won't be our first rule. Out with the old and in with the new. What should I give up this year? What will I be adding to the new? A resolution to help us grow, working toward our destiny to be at home. So make a lot of noise and show you care. Wanna see how much love we can feel in the air. Have some food, have some drinks, most of all have some fun. Cut the cake, find the bean, who is the lucky one? It's time for us to come together, 'cause no matter what faith you are, we gotta keep our traditions forever. So this Christmas we'll gather around the Yule log, and this Christmas we'll make a plate for those passed on. And this Christmas we'll apply ancestral rule, 'cause it's Christmas. It won't be our first rule. No better feeling than being close to who you love, no matter if they're here or they're sending their love from above. There's no better feeling than being close to who you love. This Christmas, so this Christmas we'll gather around the Yule log, and this Christmas we'll make a plate for those passed on. And this Christmas we'll apply ancestral rule, 'cause it's Christmas. It will be our first rule.